fire damages a commercial building in the center of town. We have exclusive video from the scene.
Plus, East Longmeadow goes above and beyond for Independence Day celebrations. We have all the highlights from summer concerts, fireworks, and of course, the annual 4th of July parade.
For more summer news, ELCAT heads over to Pine Knoll, where East Longmeadow's health director provides useful safety tips when preparing food for those summer cookouts.
And later, ELCAT stretches into the new yoga studio on Shaker Road, Sweat Power Yoga. We take a look at their open house event that let community members see what the studio's all about.
Also, our local star this week is one who has been protecting our community for years, a well-deserved retirement for Police Sergeant Dennis Sheehan.
Those stories and much more ahead on ELCAT News Update.
Thanks for tuning in to ELCAT News Update. I'm Rebecca Green.
And I'm Courtney Ingalls.
As we sat down to tape this week's newscast, fire broke out at the Secure Energy Solutions building in East Longmeadow, prompting a massive response from the East Longmeadow Fire Department and a mutual aid call to Longmeadow. Smoke filled the area around the bottom of Pleasant streets. Flames could be seen shooting from the eaves at the rear of the building. Firefighters put water on the corner of the building, while the ladder company from Longmeadow vented the gas and smoke from the roof of the building before the hot gases could ignite.
Received a call at 8:45 yesterday morning for a report of a fire in the building at 12 to 14 Summers Road, which is the business of Secure Energy Solutions. It's a two-story commercial occupancy. They had approximately 25 people in the building when the fire was reported. And the fire was determined to be electrical in nature. It originated on the outside of the building, and because it was on the outside of the building and actually got into the attic area, there was, I'll say, a slight delay in notification. The fire alarms actually didn't activate until we were making our way to the second floor. It was reported via 911 when occupants said that the lights were flickering, and they heard a banging on the outside of the building, which obviously got their attention. And when they stepped outside to see what the noise was, they discovered the fire. Had the fire been, say, when no one was in the building, it probably would have been a different outcome as far as property loss and whatnot. But the bottom line is no one was hurt, no one was injured. We did have one firefighter transported to a local hospital as a result of some heat-related injuries, but nothing other than that. Damage, yes, minimal, however, and luckily through insurance, things will be taken care of for the owners.
Now we move on to a wrap-up of Independence Day celebrations. We'll go in order, starting with the July 3rd Rotary Concert Summer Series. Trailer Trash performed for nearly 3 hours, providing a memorable show for audience members of today's modern country hits. Community members sang along to hit country songs while getting up and showing their appreciation through dancing and loud cheering. Thousands of people packed the high school field to join in on the love for country music. After the concert, residents were able to stay in their seats to watch East Longmeadow's annual July 3rd fireworks. The fireworks were booming this year, with different styles for all to enjoy. The firework display is always a big hit.
The next morning, residents were eager to view breathtaking floats at the town's annual 4th of July parade. Let's take a look.
Allie and Rebecca here on the scene as floats are being set up.
Our ELCAT News float was right next to Lennox, a company that develops premium performance tools, located on Chestnut Street. Lennox's float did not showcase their products, but instead showed off their East Longmeadow Spartan pride. ELCAT talked to manager Claudio Papalo about the company's participation in the parade, as they take home the trophy for first place in the award category for Hometown Float.
How long have you been doing the parade?
We've been doing the parade for 21 years. This is our 21st year. We started back in 1995 on our 80th anniversary. Last year we had our 100th year anniversary. We had a big cake, and this year we did something for East Longmeadow Pride. So we figured a Spartan warrior head, and let's celebrate the 4th in East Longmeadow.
For over 50 years, EL has been hosting the annual 4th of July parade.
So let's go check out the fun. Hang on tight, it's a fun 3-mile ride.
That's right, the 3-mile parade route started at the East Longmeadow High School, headed toward the center of town, down North Main Street, and ended at Hanward Hill. Thousands of residents and outside community members filled the sidewalks and cheered for those marching. The East Longmeadow fire truck sirens were the cue to begin. Marching bands, vintage cars, local companies, yours truly, and many more were part of the 2016 annual East Longmeadow 4th of July parade. A special highlight during the parade was when the East Long Meadow Police Department dedicated the Officer of the Day to Alex Blaze.
Thank you everybody for coming out today. It's a great day to be here. Believe me, the weather's nice, the crowd's nice. As you just heard, Alex is a 10-year-old boy. He's got dreams, goals, and ambition like every other 10-year-old boy does. One of his goals is to be, someday, possibly be a police officer. Well, it's not have to be someday, because we're going to make it happen today. With that said, the town of East Long Meadow and the East Long Meadow Police Department, by the powers invested in me as Chief of Police, and by Town Council President Kevin Manley, we here honor Alex Blaze to the position of Honorary Police Officer.
Behind the police department was our newly elected town council walking in their first ever parade. Also, school committee members showed their support for the community as well. Animals were also involved, such as horses and dogs. To check out the entire parade and all that participated, watch it on our YouTube page at ELCAT 01028.
Although the 4th of July celebrations are over, that does not mean the Rotary Club's concert series is. The Rotary Club's summer concert series will run into the middle of August. All concerts will take place at the East Long Meadow High School field every Wednesday at 7 p.m. On July 6th, the Rotary Club welcomed the talented Rick Larimore in Blondes Have More Fun. Larimore's performance was the ultimate tribute to Rod Stewart. Larimore connected with the audience by getting off the stage and dancing with the crowd. Next concert on July 20th, get ready for a Jimmy Buffett tribute band, Changes in Latitude. See you there.
With the weather being so nice, more and more residents are hosting cookouts. East Long Meadow's Health Director Amy Petrowski gives ELCAT an inside look on cookout safety tips. Petrowski begins by going over the correct way to transport foods. Let's take a look.
So when transporting your food to any outdoor cooking event, it's really important to keep raw, potentially hazardous foods, so that's meats, separate from your ready-to-eat foods. So that's things like lettuce and tomatoes. Lettuce and tomatoes you can just take out and keep them separate from those raw meats. The raw meats, you want to make sure you're transporting in a way that keeps them at 41 degrees or lower. That's a really important temperature. Meats start to grow bacteria and become unsafe when they pass that 41 degree mark. So you want to transport them in a cooler with ice. And the important thing, and why we have to keep our potentially hazardous foods, so our meats, separate from our ready-to-eat foods, is because cooking temperatures have been established for these meats to kill off the bacteria. So chicken is something that needs to be cooked to 165 degrees. If the juices from the chicken were to get onto the tomato or the lettuce, that's something that we don't cook. So any of the potential salmonella that is on the chicken has now transferred onto an object that we're not going to cook. So that will not have a chance to have the kill step. The kill step in food safety is what we refer to as the stage in which any potential bacteria is eliminated.
Petrowski says anytime you are handling food outdoors, make sure to always pack hand sanitizer if there is not a hand washing station nearby. When applying hand sanitizer, make sure the liquid has completely dried on your hands. When dried, that's the indication that all bacteria has been eliminated. Next, Petrowski brings over ELCAT Director Don Mackey to review crucial safety tips when handling raw meat on the grill.
We're ready to go here. You got the chicken? We're going to start with the chicken.
All right, so when putting the chicken on the grill, especially since we don't have a hand washing sink on, it's important to try to utilize the paper that we have to protect our hands.
Okay, so I'm just going to take this like this.
Yep.
And basically
flip it right over.
Flip it on there.
Then crumple that up in itself.
Now I'm going to, again, avoid getting the goop on my fingers.
Yep. And again, if you were to get goop on your fingers, we have the sanitizer that we can use to help do that, help clean that.
Now the chicken we're putting on first because?
Chicken, it has the highest kill point. We talked earlier about getting to a point where the bacteria on the item is killed. And since what we worry about with chicken is salmonella, salmonella's kill point is 165 degrees. So this chicken will sit here until it has reached 165 degrees. Once we cook the chicken, we'll add the burgers, which have a lower temperature cook.
A main concern at cookouts, undercooked or overcooked meat. To avoid this concern, Petrowski teaches us how to correctly temp the meat.
So I'm thinking this chicken is close. It probably's got a couple more minutes, but I don't want to overdo it. So now, what am I going to do here?
All right. So a common mistake that's often made even in restaurants when I go is people temp the items on the grill. Right, so if I temp the item on the grill and I get a little too deep, I'm going to get a temperature that's way higher than the actual flesh of the meat. The second mistake that's commonly made is that, I don't know if you can zoom in here, but that one end of the chicken is much thicker than the other. So if I go to temp the thin end, I'm going to get a really high temp because that's probably fully cooked through. But then when I go to the thicker end, that's going to take a lot longer. So you always want to test the temp at the thickest part of the meat. And what you want to do is insert your thermometer halfway through at the thickest point at about a 45-degree angle. We're there. So the temperature that we're looking for is 165. The temperature will continue to rise a little bit. So because this is the thickest piece of meat, we're good to go.
Alrighty, awesome.
We'll temp that one just in case it was on a less hot part of the grill.
We're there, 165, like on the nose. Alrighty.
Lastly, Petrowski explains the rules on how long certain foods can be left out.
The USDA and the FDA recommends that if it's greater than 90 degrees out, they recommend that you don't let food sit out untemperature controlled for more than 1 hour. Anything under 90 degrees, you have a 2-hour window. And the reason for that is just the multiplication of that bacteria happens faster. Now, one thing you can do if you want to reheat your food once, so you're kind of getting close to that 2-hour window, people are going to start eating again, or someone comes up and says, you know, how long have those burgers been out? And you know it's less than 2 hours. You can put your food back on the grill and reheat it to 165 degrees for 15 seconds. And that's known to kill any of the bacteria that has been able to grow in that time frame.
To learn even more safety cookout tips that will keep your family and friends healthy during the summer month, watch the entire program on our ELCAT YouTube page.
Switching gears to town meetings, the Board of Public Works and the Board of Library Trustees met last week. Starting with the Board of Public Works, the meeting began with a report from DPW Superintendent Robert Parent.
I wanted to give the board an update on the Maple Shade Avenue work that Columbia Gas has planned. We talked about at the last meeting that we're going to defer the water main work to give them a chance to get in and get their work done. They are planning to start the middle of next week. They're going to be laying a 6-inch medium pressure gas main from essentially the middle of the Elm Street intersection up to just short of North Main Street. What they're doing as part of this project, in addition to replacing the old cast iron main, they're expanding their medium pressure system onto Maple Shade Ave, where they currently have a low pressure system. They're going to be in Maple Shade, they believe, for about 6 weeks, doing the mainline work and doing the cross trenches as well. They're aware that they need to be out of Maple Shade before school starts, so they're going to be wrapping up before the end of August, so that the trenches can all get backfilled, compacted, and patched with a full depth patch. It's not going to be a 2-inch patch, it's going to be the full depth, 4 or 5 inches or whatever is there now. And part of that is that patch then will have to last us most likely through next year and possibly into the following year. Right now our thought is that Columbia Gas will get in this year, do their work. We will get in then during the summer months next year to do the water main work. So we'll now have 2 trenches on the street. Let those trenches overwinter during the winter of 17 into 18, and then come in and do a full reconstruction project on Maple Shade Avenue at that point. Most likely at least mill and overlay, if not some additional improvements, at that time.
Now let's take a look at the highlights from the Board of Library Trustees meeting.
The agenda, one of which is to discuss people we recommend as library director, and secondly to discuss the future of this committee. So I think we can proceed directly to the topic at hand, which is we have carefully searched out the reputation, skills of our first applicant, Ronald Shaw of upstate New York, Elmira area. And what I'd like to hear is a motion to accept him as our nominee to go forth to the council and the interim director for purposes of recommendation, which they've agreed to accept. For the record, I did speak to all the other references that Mr. Shaw made, including one at noon today to the person who got left out. I see no negatives to his application at all.
No, we didn't either. We thought he was
very
an
positive.
Excellent choice.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving ahead to new business, a yoga studio opened up on Shaker Road. If you're looking to become more active this summer, what better way to do so than to sweat it out with Sweat Power Yoga? Sweat Power Yoga's mission is to use yoga, movement, and meditation to fuel an authentic, inspired life. Sweat Power Yoga offers Baptiste Power Vinyasa Yoga and TRX Power Yoga. Baptiste Power Vinyasa Yoga is broken down into 3 elements: the physical practice of yoga postures, the practice of focusing the mind, and the practice of self-transformation. The other program, TRX Power Yoga, is a suspension training bodyweight exercise that develops strength, balance, flexibility, and core stability. ELCAT talks with owner Shannon Roslin and Crystal Say to learn more about their yoga background and how they got started.
I started practicing yoga over a decade ago, and I was kind of a fly-by-night practitioner. When it was convenient for me, I found my way to my mat. And then about three and a half years ago, we just had a life change. We were living in Western New York. My husband lost his job, actually, and we were kind of stumbling a little bit, and I just instinctively went to the basement and got my yoga mat out and found a studio up the street, and I went and I practiced every day for 3 months. And that led to the studio owner recommending that I take level 1 Baptiste training, which I did that summer, and then it's been a little bit of a whirlwind since.
I'm a little bit more of a baby yogi. I've been in the fitness industry for the past decade, and about 5 or 6 years ago now, it's hard to keep track, but it was a New Year's resolution of mine. So I wanted to find yoga as a form of stress relief. So I went to a local yoga studio and I tried a couple of different types of yoga, and it kind of struck me, being in the shoes of a fitness instructor. I was like, wow, this is different. This is a form of fitness, but it's more. It's life transforming. So I branched out and I started trying a couple different forms of yoga. And in Northampton, I found the Baptiste affiliated studio there, and I started practicing there. Absolutely fell in love with it. It not only served its purpose as a stress relief, but it just started to transform my whole life.
Crystal is a little bit humble about this. Crystal wrote the TRX Yoga Flow program for TRX. So we really are, Crystal really is like cutting edge, and we're really happy to be like the pilot studio for TRX Yoga Flow.
It's based on the Baptiste practice of yoga, but using the TRX suspension trainer, which is a fitness tool. So we are the only studio in the country right now that has TRX Yoga Flow, so you don't have to worry about not knowing what's going on, because nobody does.
Sweat Power Yoga holds their classes in a heated room. Due to the heat, it is mandatory that those who are ages 13 through 15 must be accompanied by an adult. Anyone 16 years or older is welcome to take part. Trying yoga for the first time? Then this is for you too. Roslyn and Say want everyone to feel welcome when entering the studio. By assuring this goal, the owners hosted an open house for the community.
We didn't know what to expect, but we wanted to give the community and our students an opportunity to come in and see what we were about. And we also recognize that there are those people that really would love to give it a try, but are a little bit hesitant to walk through the door.
We just want everybody to recognize that this style of yoga is for everybody. We welcome everybody through our front doors. Whether you've experienced this style or any style of yoga in the past, you are welcome to our classes. If you've never experienced yoga before, we would be honored to share your first practice with us.
Roslyn and Say tell ELCAT what community members can expect when entering their doors.
We give them a little bit of a lay of the land, so explain to them, to grab a towel and the setup of the yoga space, and then we allow them to enter and get set up and maybe acclimate to the heat for a few minutes before class starts. And then Crystal and I have been, because we have a lot of new students, we've been starting every class with a little bit of a run-through of the practice, and so this is going to hopefully flow really freely. I've been saying it a lot lately. So we have 60-minute classes and we have 75-minute sweat sessions is what we call them, and we've been letting students know that all of our classes including the yoga classes and the TRX flow classes, follow the blueprint of the Baptiste Power Vinyasa methodology, which is called Journey into Power. So it's a preset flow that was created very intentionally to help you get deeper into your body as the flow progresses. And so all of our classes will follow Journey into Power, JIP it's sometimes called. And I think that's beneficial to students because they're able to, if they're new to yoga especially, to learn the poses and learn the practice. We're not reinventing a flow or we're not choreographing classes differently every time. And so the consistency just helps you gauge your progress, really feel where you're at in your body on any given day.
Although Sweat Power Yoga just recently opened, the owners are already talking about future plans for the community.
So we are actually in the process of developing a teacher training program, and we're working with the Baptiste Institute to hopefully unroll teacher training sometime within the next year. Yes. Ideally in the spring, but don't hold us to that. It's definitely in our sights, and it's something that we would be really excited to offer to the community, and then invite some qualified Baptiste teachers to join us teaching at the studio. We've talked a bit about doing a kids yoga program. That's something that in the next couple of years we'd like to sort of flesh out and build.
What's fun is as we grow our community, we're really excited to have our community help guide us where we're going to be going in the future. In 5 to 10 years, we want this to be so completely accessible to everybody that you can access it within whatever fits into your schedule to make it part of your lifestyle.
For more information, head over to sweatpoweryoga.com. You can also find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at sweatpoweryoga.
Now it's time to uncover this week's local star. Dennis Sheehan has been serving East Longmeadow for the past 36 years, keeping our community safe as a valuable member of the police department. June 30th marked Sheehan's last day before his retirement. ELCAT talked with Sheehan about his experience over the years.
I started in 1980, went to the Springfield Police Academy with 6 other officers. They're all gone now, retired or moved on to other positions. Graduated from the Police Academy in June of that year. I spent about 9 months on the road, and after that I was appointed the court liaison officer as a patrolman. In that position you handle all the business between the courts, the Superior Court, District, Juvenile Court, and you handle coordinating things with the District Attorney's Office. From that position, I did that for 5 years, and then I returned back to uniform. And in uniform, I was a photographer. I was on the police mountain bike patrol, and I spent 3 years from 94 to 97 as a DARE officer at Maple Shade School, teaching 5th grade DARE program, and the 2nd grade program to Meadowbrook. And after that, I was promoted to sergeant in 1997. So I've been a sergeant for the last 19 years. And the past year and a half, I've been the detective sergeant, supervise the detective bureau, and handle the court work. I have a lot of memories, obviously, 36 years. There's a lot of stories, a lot of good people that, I remember meeting. I think that the most rewarding part of my job is we deal with a lot of good people that happen to be in a bad situation and being able to help them. I hope that, I've helped more people than than I've had to lock up. I know I've helped more people than I've had to lock up, and I think that's the most gratifying thing.
Sheehan offers advice to anyone looking to head down his path and one day become a police sergeant.
I think that you try to be a lifelong learner, and we're a civil service department, so you have to take the civil service exam to get on, and to be a lifelong learner, study the law all the time. The law is always changing. Constitution is a living, breathing document, and you have to stay up on the law to be an effective officer. That's probably the best advice I can give, is just be a lifelong learner, and also be empathetic to people. Most officers, when they first get on, they're young and they're full of life, and they hard charge. After about 5 years, most officers realize, hey, we're here to help people. It's not all about locking up the world. And it progresses that way throughout your career, and the longer you're here, the more you realize what is really important.
Lastly, we learn about Sheehan's retirement plans.
As a sergeant, you try to be a coach and a mentor and a teacher to the young officers and teach them the right thing to do, and I think I've accomplished that. And that gives me a great deal of satisfaction. And I have a lot of outside interests that I'm very excited to participate in, so this will give me more time to go fishing and other things. I'm going to travel a little bit. I want to go out to Yellowstone. I want to see more of this country, and I enjoy a lot of outdoor activities, kayaking, biking, hiking, fishing, hunting. So and photography. There's a lot of things I like to do that, plus my wife will have some projects for me.
Congratulations to Police Sergeant Dennis Sheehan.
Now it's time for our weekly segment, Library Learning, where we let you know what's happening at the East Longmeadow Public Library. First up, an adult program that is trending across the nation, Adult Coloring Group. The program acts as a stress relief in a sociable, fun setting. All materials are provided. The program takes place on July 20th at 11 a.m. No registration is required.
This next library event will also help you wind down. The library is hosting their monthly program, Friday Flicks. Get ready for an inspirational film. Sit back and enjoy the hit film, Eddie the Eagle, the story about Eddie Edwards, an underdog ski jumper who made it to the 1988 Winter Olympics and charmed the world. The showing takes place on Friday, July 22nd at 1 p.m. in the library community room.
Well, that will do it for this edition of ELCAT News Update. Be sure to watch meetings on demand at our ELCAT YouTube channel, ELCAT 01028. Follow us on Facebook and watch us on cable channel 191 and 193.
For cable channel times, make sure to check out our ELCAT program guide, available at the Town Hall, Library, and Senior Center. Also check out your mail, as the programs will be delivered monthly within the reminder.
Until next time, I'm Rebecca Green.
And I'm Courtney Ingalls. Thanks for watching. See you next week.